Thanks for the very warm welcome. So my name is Jelle. I'm the business lead at Dusk Network. I'd like to take roughly 5 or 10 minutes, not bore you for too long, to give a very brief overview of what it is we're trying to do at Dusk Network. And just give a little bit of insight into the journey that led us to now, be partnering with the guys at Ethfinex and, be the first ones through their new product. Dusk Network is a new blockchain, right? So it's not a fork, it's not built on top of anything, it's its own protocol. And it being a new protocol, we're obviously trying to introduce something to the space. And this thing is called flexible privacy. And I'll elaborate a little bit. So what we see in blockchain today is you have closed ledgers, you have open ledgers, right? So closed, for example, Monero, open being Ethereum. And this is kind of all the flavors. It's very binary, and we see this as troublesome because the real world is obviously not that binary. It's a bit more of a spectrum. This means that there's all types of privacy and transparency requirements for real world use cases, right? You cannot simply build what's convenient. You need to build what's desired. And this is really where the building of Dusk Network came into place. It's a protocol where everybody can build things on top and really, configure their tokens or configure their apps in the way that's relevant for them. And the big goal is to take out the middlemen from, regulated markets without losing this regulatory compliance. And we use things like zero-knowledge cryptography to implement confidentiality as well as compliance on-chain. And we're really focusing on 3 big use cases that are lovely obscured by all the hard liquor right now. But the first one is payments. And when we're looking into the payment space, we're combining confidentiality and compliance. You should think Monero, but faster and regulator friendly. And we're also really focused on communication. So Dusk features a strong communications layer. Think video, audio, file storage, that kind of stuff. And the final one, the one that's in the middle here, is digital assets, and most specifically security tokens. And we think that Dusk is one of, probably the only protocol that is really built from the ground up to nail this use case. So let's deep dive that one a little bit more. So 2018 had all this noise, right? Security tokens and STOs and STO platforms, and it's all the new craze. But still, there's no real STOs happening, and there's not a lot of people that own any security tokens. So why was 2018 not the year of the security token? There's a few big reasons, right? So the first one is that STO solutions ignore privacy requirements. Privacy is not just something that users or businesses want, but also something that regulators want. When you look at a regulated market, things like market manipulation are quite serious. So you know what Reddit looks like when someone touches a Mt. Gox wallet or a Silk Road wallet. Everything explodes. The price starts dumping. There's this whole slippage effect, right? And in a regulated market, this is manipulation and often illegal. So if you're a big fund and you have $5 million worth of equity and you move this to an exchange, you don't want to destroy your own value by creating this cascading effect. No, you should be able to do this privately, right? Because that's what a regulated market is. Another big one is trade secrecy. So, an interesting example is, for example, an Ethfinex wallet. You can see all the tokens you hold, right? All the Ethereum tokens, or at least a good chunk of them. And for an exchange, this isn't a huge problem. But when you're a fund and when you're competing on performance, and your picks need to outperform other people's picks, because that's how you get new investors, new users, this becomes quite important. So ignoring these privacy requirements by, for example, building on a fully open ledgers, it is very naive, and this is why businesses aren't adopting. Many of these solutions are also quite centralized, so they use off-chain stuff like KYC middlemen or custodians or other kind of financial institutions, which make it a very gimmicky version of blockchain, right? If I want to transact a security token to you, but as soon as I push the button, someone else needs to say yes first, then what have we improved, right? We've just put something on a blockchain, but it leverages none of the decentralization benefits. And another big point is really that if you don't do stuff on-chain, then it doesn't really scale. So exchanges won't be able to adopt it, you won't be able to create a decentralized exchange. None of that's possible. And the kind of the big fourth one, you can barely see the sad smiley face, is that kind of current STO solutions charge a lot and they deliver very, very little. So there's very little technical help, there's very little legal help. And if you want to deliver security tokens, then it needs to improve something, right? It cannot be a more expensive version of what used to be paperwork. So this is kind of where our opportunity comes in, right? At least in the STO space. So what makes Dusk Network quite unique is that we're the first protocol that kind of satisfies the entire regulatory spectrum at a fraction of the cost. It's decentralized, it's automated, and it's very convenient for for any type of organization to build on top. It's scalable, like I said. Our algorithm is very fast, it's very efficient, it's outperforming kind of the current big main chains in the market. And then the kind of big two, right? Confidential and compliant, and you need to have both. So you want the right level of confidentiality together with the right level of compliance, because if you cannot reconcile these two, then mass adoption is a pipe dream, basically. So this is kind of the tech slide. I'll very briefly skim over this. We have myself here all night. We also have our tech lead and one of our core developers with us, and you can come up for any type of deep dive question. Basically, Dusk Network is a full tech stack, right? It's its own protocol. The big thing you need to keep in mind is that you can build stuff on top. You create tokens on top of it. So what, for example, ERC20 was for ICOs on top of Ethereum, we've developed the XST standard, which will be for STOs on top of Dusk. So and this standard will really make it much, much easier for companies to hold an STO and adopt something that is proven. So we go to the market, again, not very legible. I'll skip the tech piece. On the business side, what's probably most relevant to keep in mind is that we're building an STO incubator as well. But the big difference with us is that it's governed by a foundation, it's not for profit, it's doing stuff at cost because we want the network adopted. So this means a very, very comprehensive legal and technical process for any type of company to tokenize their equity, for example, or their project on top of Dusk. And we have a lot of demand for this already, so we really see our assumptions and our research proven in the market, whereas other platforms are, well, not bringing out STOs as far as I'm aware. And then I'll go to wrap it up a little bit for now. I just want to spend a few minutes high-level overview, and then we can do all the deep diving later. But well, you can read the bullet points, right? I just talked about them. What's probably most important to know is, we're building this new protocol because we need to introduce something to the space, because the space is ready for applications that solve something in the real world, not just something that was cool to build or cool to experiment with. And this is flexible privacy in our case. We're doing this for 3 use cases. So payments, current tests, we're faster than Monero, we're more regulator friendly than Monero. We have the partnerships and the payment integrations to become much more adopted than Monero, and that's just one of the use cases, right? When you look at the communications layer, the kind of telcos we talked to, they are scared, man, because they missed WhatsApp and they missed Telegram, and they're very, very scared to now miss the next big thing, which could be blockchain. So they're more than ready to build on top something like this. And then finally, the digital assets, right? The security tokens. So the big difference with us is that as soon as we go live, we're going live early next year, we'll have the first STOs ready to launch. It's not just a platform with all the pretty words and all the pretty promises. The companies are there, the demand and the desire has been proven, and we're very, very excited to offer them the protocol that they need to do so. So I'll be handing over in a little minute, but very pleased to be here, very, very pleased to work together with the Ethfinex guys. If you haven't heard about us before, then I hope you will follow us from now on. Thank you. This is my colleague Dermot. Do we have time for 1 or 2 questions? If anyone cares, otherwise we can do them later. Yeah, go ahead.
You talk about scalability and privacy. How do you achieve that technically without compromising on centralization?
So Let's see, we have our tech lead in the room who's much more suited to this. Am I right there? Yeah, go for it. Maybe I can take another one in the meantime. Yeah, go ahead.
The only legitimate use case that I've seen for blockchain is censorship-resistant value transfer. If, by definition on your blockchain, it is regulated, that is, I have to answer to somebody, how do you maintain the censorship-resistant portion of the value that blockchain offers? And if you do not, then what is the point of using blockchain?
Right. Also a very, very good question. So, the censorship resistance part is around because there's something that you cannot do, right? So, for example, if you're talking about small and medium enterprises now, they have all types of barriers why they cannot, for example, raise funds through stuff like this. They don't have access to things like the IPO, where there's all types of small retail investors that have very difficult access to things like private equity. It's a very long hold, it's very traditional, you know, these are 7 to 10 year funds. The big kicker about kind of tokenizing securities, the whole reason why tokenizing securities makes sense is because you are creating an asset class that is now liquid. So you're not only allowing all types of new players to the market, you're also vastly kind of increasing the risk tolerance, for example, and the liquidity of these players. Arguably levering what you might mention value transfer. One of the probably biggest revolutions so far that blockchain brought was the fundraising revolution, right? This is definitely something that we also want to bring to small, medium-sized enterprises.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, you will have to repeat that. I didn't hear it.
Yeah, so my question was, you talk about scalability and privacy. How do you achieve that without sacrificing decentralization?
That's an interesting question. Why do you say that basically why do you say that there is a trade-off there?
So how do you compared to your peers, how do you achieve better, for example, scalability without sacrificing decentralization?
Well, it depends on what you mean with scalability. If you're talking about basically the capability of just adding hardware to the general network and scale up, that's not what we actually mean with that. If you mean scalability in terms of just having user scalabilities, or the performance of the network is not impacted by how many users are in the network, then that is basically provided by the capability of using sortition. So the Dusk network doesn't use proof of work, doesn't use proof of stake. It uses basically something that we call proof of blind bid. Proof of blind bid is basically it makes use of a sortition procedure in which we are running VRF. So you can think of that as being a non-interactive lottery system. This particular non-interactive lottery system makes sure that everybody just talks once, and it proves, or if the civil resistance is coming from certain blind bids that are time-locked transactions that are just covered or that are concealed using bulletproof transactions.
The lottery is delegation.
Sorry?
The lottery is delegation.
The lottery is delegation?
Yeah, so you delegate who provides consensus.
No, there is no delegation there. So there are two different roles inside of the network. One is basically the node or the block generation or the block generating role. The block generating role competes with other nodes by just running this non-interactive lottery, propagating the score that it has. The score is propagated depending on certain, or is obtained depending on certain blind bid, and it's propagated in zero knowledge. So you do not know what was the bid that generated that particular score, but you can trust the score because of proof range or a certain particular application proof range that we are using. This means that all the different nodes just talk once in order to propose a certain particular block. This block needs to be propagated to the second set of roles inside of the network, which are called provisioners. These provisioners, you can think of them as being sort of validators slash voters. The voting system uses a reputation system, or we are planning to use a reputation system called Guru, which has been developed by our lead cryptographer. His name is Dmitry Kovatrovich, and he is the creator of Equidash, which is basically the hashing algorithm of Zcash right now. This voting system, again, just happens through sortition as well, and to make the long story short, basically the entirety of the network, every nodes in the network basically just, or the network self-balances by propagating only the highest score that it sees. And the interesting fact about that is that it is constant in user participation. So if you have 1 million users, or 1 million nodes, or if you have 10 or 100 or 1,000, but basically roughly the time of propagation of this block is pretty much always the same.